Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beyond Resilience Live. This is your host, Dr. Lydiana Garcia, and you're listening to the Resiliency during COVID-19 bonus series episodes. Today, I'm going to talk about taking a resiliency pause. But before we do so, let me remind you that anything that you're listening in this episode or in any of the other episodes of the Beyond Resilience Live is not meant to be a substitute for psychotherapy or any kind of medical advice, and to please consult with your primary doctor if you're going to make any decision or take any of the recommendations given in this one or in any of the other episodes. Alrighty, let's dig in. So today will be a shorter than, I know this is like 15 minutes and every time I say that I kind of go almost to 15, but today I'm honestly going to be way shorter because I'm going to talk about something very simple that can be implemented throughout the day. And I know probably I've mentioned and alluded to this in other episodes, but I just want to dedicate this whole episode to it, which is what I call a resiliency pause. And you might be like, why are you talking about that and what that is? So I'm talking about that because this time has made me realize, and probably many of you, that even though you probably have access to a lot of tools and resources that in the past have been really helpful and would be ideal to use them around right now with this pandemic, like going hiking, nature, being with people, like co-regulation is one of the best ways of regulating. But because of this physical social distancing, yes, you can communicate with people via Zoom and Google Hangouts and FaceTime or Skype or something similar. But many of you have experienced that is not the same. That there's still that aspect of wanting to just, especially if you're more of a hugger or someone that likes to be in physical distance from others and just being able to feel their energy and all of that. So that's something that is impacting right now what's going on and is making it really hard. So because our access to resources that we used to do and our bandwidth for many of us is so much smaller, because if you're like me and you're working from home and you have kiddos and you're co-working, co-parenting, and then if you're also pregnant like me, and then add all the different factors, and this is just my kind of story, but I've heard many stories, even people that are by themselves in their home, how it's a lot, because being by themselves a whole day, every day can take a huge toll. So is this whole thing about the grass is always greener, right? Because sometimes all I wish is to be by myself. I miss working from home by myself, but I can't. So I have to figure out ways to accommodate and adapt and be flexible with whatever I have. So this resiliency pause, what it is kind of more of, how do I say this? It's kind of more of finding different ways throughout the day that you can pause and assess how you feel, how your body feels, how are your emotions, how are your thoughts, and then taking an action with a coping skill or something, even if it's something small. For example, you can be like sitting down in meetings and meetings and meetings, and you do that resiliency pause. You don't have to like do that much of talking. It's all internal, and you reflect, I'm being in this position for a long time and it's hurting me. So if I move to this different chair, or if I take a little pause and go to the stand up and stretch and maybe turn off my camera and mute myself if I'm not the one leading the training, then, or if you're leading the training, maybe inviting others to do that as well. Because a lot of times what we feel, we can also feel, other people can resonate with what you feel. So, and then when you take that pause and you go inward and you kind of reflect about what changes you can do, like I said, then you can kind of tweak the little things. You might go into like, well, right now will be an amazing time to go hiking or go swimming or just kind of like going and visiting my friend next door. But since you can't, then what are some other things that you can do? Like, can you go to the kitchen and get a drink that you like? A hot drink, a cold drink? Can you change positions? Can you do any stretching? Can you get a blanket that you like? Can you kind of get a pillow? And I mean, the list can go on and on. If you have any pet, can you pet them at that moment? So in general is, pausing as much as you can throughout the day and be like doing these little changes and noticing what happens right after, because the more that we do this and the more our body's also listening to us, being like, oh, you're paying attention to me. So I don't have to be screaming and yelling with like super ache pain later on, because you feel me and then you make the changes and tweaking. And the other good thing that can happen out of that is it can also make you feel somewhat empowered, that even though we're in a very weird situation and we cannot do many things that we enjoyed or that were kind of helpful in the past, you do still have some choices and you do still have some ways of making yourself feel a little more comfortable. And that can kind of like change a little bit of the internal dialogue of like, I'm screwed, or like everyone is controlling me, or any of that. So hopefully this was helpful. Like I mentioned, today was really going to be a short episode. And something that's going on right now, so that way you guys are knowing, is I am going to be going in maternity leave like in the next 4 weeks or so, or baby comes earlier than that. So I might not be able to do like I was doing like weekly episodes for this Resiliency during COVID. I'll try here and there until I am not able anymore. But if you want to follow me, you can also follow me, and I'm bringing a lot of information and stuff in my IG account at dr.Lydiana Garcia. And the other place that you can find me is also at the Beyond Resilience Life IG account. If you have any questions, if you want to get a hold of me, please do so by writing me an email at info@thebeyondresilience.life. And like I mentioned in the previous episode, I would really appreciate if you can go and rate it, review it, and make a comment. That way it would help this kind of program get more visibility and for me to be able to kind of reach more people. So looking forward to speak with you on the next episode. Until then, take care. Goodbye.